with some introductions. I'll start with a special introduction as well. We'll get me out of the way. So my name is Tony Gass, and I'm the VP of Employer Partnerships at CareerWise New York. So that means I have the awesome privilege to work with all of our employer partners and apprentices to make sure that both of these groups have an impactful and meaningful experience through this program. With that said, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who I get the privilege of working with very closely to make sure this thing works. My dear colleague, Kelly Flamia. Kelly is currently serves as an associate director at Accenture and really leads the charge on programs and initiatives like this, right? That builds pathways to wage-sustaining careers. And of course, Kelly's primary focus is on youth apprenticeship, and we certainly appreciate that partnership. Now, Kelly has interesting perspective because, when we thought this was a good idea, Kelly and Accenture were one of the first companies to raise their hand and say, we absolutely agree with you. This is a wonderful idea. Let's do it. They have just recently onboarded their 5th cohort. So they're in this for the long haul. And we are super excited to continue to partner with them and expand and grow. So I'm going to be quiet for a couple of seconds and hand it over to Kelly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tony. And a huge thank you to the CareerWise team for inviting our Accenture team here today to share our experience. It really is an honor for us to be on this stage and talk to you about our journey, and I hope that you find it interesting. I hope you learned something. And of course, I fully expect that throughout the day we are also going to continue to learn, because that is one thing, consistent theme throughout our 5-year experience. So as Tony mentioned, my name is Kelly Flamia, and I have had the absolute privilege to be involved with our youth apprenticeship program since its inception. So I had the opportunity to co-lead the design and the launch of our program back in September of 2019, which feels like a really long time in some ways. As Tony mentioned, we just welcomed our 5th cohort, so 25 youth apprentices walked through our doors. It was October 2nd, right, Kristen? On October 2nd. So it's been an incredible journey. But our journey at Accenture with apprenticeship actually began 3 years prior to 2019. So in 2016, we launched our first apprenticeship program in one location with 5 apprentices focused on one occupation. And so it very quickly grew in terms of relevance and size. To date, we have welcomed more than 2,000 apprentices. Yep. It's a big number. It's a big number. More than 130 of those apprentices have been youth apprentices. So another number we're extraordinarily proud of. And to get to that level of scale, there definitely was some key changes that we needed to implement, and one of those was embedding apprenticeship into our talent strategy, into our business strategy. That is really how we drove scale, that coupled with the sponsorship, the leadership. And so again, it's just a pleasure to be up here today to share more about our story. Our youth apprenticeship program, so again, if I shift gears from the broader program to our youth apprenticeship program, is truly, I think, a special experience, and you're gonna hear from a current apprentice of ours right now, as well as an alum, who I know will share some really unique stories about their own lived experiences. But it's a earn while you learn model. Our apprentices go to school in the morning. They're dismissed from class, about noonish. They then come to work with us at our 1 Manhattan West office from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. They work 16 hours a week, Monday through Thursday. They are embedded into our teams. They are working on real projects. They are building real skills, in-demand skills in the market, skills that we need at Accenture to better serve our clients. And the training and learning, I'd say, is really a cornerstone of that overall experience. They spend a good deal of time in what we call the creative classroom, and we were very intentional with the naming of that. We did want to differentiate their classroom time, from the standard school kind of hours to then the time that they were learning at our offices. The name might be going under a rebranding soon. We're going to ask the apprentices to come up with a new name. It's been 5 years, right? Refresh, put some new energy into it. But in that training, we spend a lot of time up front focusing on skills. I say that broadly. So yes, there's some technical skills. There's also what we focus on, what I like to call the power skills. So I describe power skills as the skills that you need in order to be successful, whether it's here at Accenture or any other career with any other company that you decide to pursue. So those skills for us look like public speaking, written and verbal communications, time management. We spend a lot of time focused there, networking, in addition to then the other skills, so PowerPoint, Excel, how to navigate Outlook, how to navigate our Microsoft Teams. So we build all of that into that creative classroom. So I could clearly go on and on forever until Tony nudges me or just takes my mic away. But one thing I'd really like to do is we had a special project that one of our apprentices up here, Gesner, was involved with last year, where our apprentices really took the reins and helped us in collaboration with our broadcast team to create a video to feature and spotlight our apprenticeship program. So I'm going to ask the team in the back if you can put that up, and we can hear from a number of other voices besides mine.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into what that looks like. We're going to take some time to introduce the rest of our panel, and we'll have each of the panelists introduce themselves. We'll start with Kristen.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here and grateful to have the opportunity to share with you our experience with the Youth Apprenticeship Program. My role is as the program operations lead for our Youth Apprenticeship Program. So I am supervising our current 60-plus apprentices. I'm in the office every day running our day-to-day operations, interacting with the apprentices and their entire support network. And I have the responsibility of ensuring that our apprentices have a really great learning experience. I would say my favorite part of my role is just that I have the privilege to see our apprentices learn and grow every single day. It's this really special feeling. It's hard to explain, but it's definitely my favorite role that I've had at Accenture in my 8 years there. And I promise you I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting in front of you. And I'll pass it over to Teresa.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa Nwalo. I am a supervisor for the apprentices at Accenture. I have been with Accenture for 26 years, so I have seen a lot. And like in 2016, when this first rolled out with that project, we were at a different location. Now we're at 1 Manhattan West. And I have the responsibility, duties, and the leadership over 3 in my department, which is workplace, and the 3 that I have are brilliant. Not saying that the others aren't, but I interact with them daily, 5 days a week, from 1 to 5, and in the summer it was from 9 to 1 o'clock. And I have such a rapport with them. I expose myself to them daily. They expose themselves to me. They know that they can come to me with anything, not even just with the job itself, but also with family things. Because, in order for them to trust you as a supervisor, I don't micromanage them. I allow them to express themselves. I allow them to go on with the projects I give them. They come back, they check with me. And I have to say, it's the best thing that I've done since I've been there, and I've been there a while, and I enjoy these youth. I call them my children because they call me Mama T. Don't ask me why, but they do. I first said, why are they calling me that? But then I thought about it. I said, it's a sign of respect, and when you have them respect you, you also have to set a precedence in your behavior and how you carry yourself and how you engage and how you expose them to everyone there. And I tell them this, don't go by the title of someone's, go by the person and the individual. Surround yourself with people who are going to get you to where you need to go. And don't be afraid to ask, because I've asked. I've been there 26 years. I've had to ask somebody. And that's how you get through Accenture. You navigate and you guide them and you encourage them them, and you watch them grow from the first time you meet them until where they are right now. And like I said, I enjoy it just like she does. You can't beat it. Trust me, if you take on the opportunity, you'll never look back. And now I'll turn it over to one of my apprentices, Gesner.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to meet you all here today. My name is Gesner, and I'm a third-year youth apprentice, or specifically a technology youth apprentice here at Accenture. And I must say, even though I am a technology apprentice, I still sometimes have the opportunity to be a part of extra things on the side like this, and the promotional advertisement that you got to see here earlier today. And I must say, I love doing things like this. Like, I love being part of just the company, just in general. Like, I love having the opportunity to network and just meet different people, because it opens up so many different doors that a lot of high school students don't really get the opportunity to experience. Like, for example, as a technology youth apprentice, I'm a software application developer, and that role allows me to basically meet with my client consistently on a day-to-day basis and work on their platform on the back end and manage their app, to make sure things run smoothly. And me being a youth apprentice, or just me being someone that was a high school student when I joined, that's crazy to say at that age, that someone so young is doing taking care of such a high-level task, a high-level job. So I just love being able to say I'm a part of this program and gain the skills that I have and meet the people that I meet. Now I'm going to pass it on to an alumni.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ronnie Villeman. I'm currently going to Baruch College for CIS Cybersecurity, and it's a little bit weird for me to go to Baruch for CIS since it's a business school. But since it was close to Accenture during the time I was an apprentice back in 2021, I decided to attend Baruch. Now, something that I found myself asking myself is, why do I want to come back to Accenture, right? And during my last year, I spent asking people, you spent here 8 years, 20 years, 30 years. Why do you stay in Accenture? And 9 times out of 10, the most common answer was the people. So I came back to Accenture this summer, and I found myself getting told, "Oh my God, you're back?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm back. And there was a lot of new people there telling me, "Oh, are you known?" And it's like, yeah, a little. But Accenture has always made me feel at home, and it's definitely a place where I always come back to, even if I leave for another company, but which is not likely. It's always going to be my home, and I just love working even with the new apprentices, and I just love working with the team. So thank you, Kelly, for inviting me over. So. But I must pass it over to Tony. I don't want to spoil a lot of my achievements. So.
No, I told you all this was going to be exciting, right? For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to speak with each of you, and we'll start with Kelly. So Kelly, you gave a good foundational overview as to how Accenture structures the program. Can we dig a little bit deeper on that and talk about the support structures?
Absolutely. We spend a lot of time and intentional effort thinking about the support structure and really trying to answer the question, what do our youth apprentices need to be set up for success from day one? And so what we've learned is that support structure is multidimensional. So multiple layers, and I'll start with the core team. That's the team that we affectionately refer to as Kristen and the 3 team members that we have that are, as I like to describe them, the heartbeat of the program. So they wake up in the morning and go to bed at night thinking about this program, thinking about the youth apprentices, thinking about how we can deliver the best experience. So they truly are core to the run of this program and play an incredible support role from, as Kristen described earlier, just the on-the-ground run to helping find staffing opportunities to, exploring new rotational opportunities so that apprentices might be working in a technology space like Gesner, but then have the opportunity to, support a project focused with our broadcast productions team, video. So again, that's kind of the first layer, I would say. The next layer, again, equally as critical, is the role of the supervisor. Just tremendously influential, the impact that supervisors have. You can see it, the apprentices talk about it, you can hear it with the different stories that our supervisors tell them about different ideas that they've had to go above and beyond to connect an apprentice, let's say, who might need some additional supports with their written communications. Teresa, I hope I'm not stealing one of your examples, but Teresa had acknowledged that one of her apprentices could really use some additional support. She had a woman on her team whose background, I believe, in terms of college was in the journalism space, a really strong writer. She paired them up, and in a matter of weeks, we started to see such a incremental improvement in terms of this youth apprentice's written skills. So that supervisor role, I just can't stress enough how critical it is to the program's success and to the individual youth apprentice's success, because they are committed day in and day out to the ongoing development and growth of their youth apprentices. The next layer I would highlight is just the role of the mentor. So mentors being identified as folks that raise their hand, right, to volunteer for this opportunity. No one wants to be voluntold, and I can't think of any mentor-mentee relationship that I was ever in where if it was a forced one, that it worked well and either of us really benefit from it. So it is a opt-in. But again, the youth apprentices are paired with a mentor that's not from their immediate team or the department that they're working in. They meet up, maybe on like a monthly basis. They can check in more frequently or infrequently, depending on how they want to manage that relationship. But they can go to them with any type of question, a question that maybe they might not feel as comfortable asking their supervisor, or they're just looking for another perspective or opinion. And then we added after, I think it was maybe the first year, or maybe it's the second year actually, I think the recommendation came to us around, have we ever considered identifying another layer of support that would focus on a peer mentor? So that then enabled our older cohorts to now step into this mentor role, and they were each paired with a new apprentice. And I just think that relationship can truly, if it's maximized, be so powerful, because if a brand new youth apprentice wants to talk about the challenges of managing work, school, and maybe having a life in between, who better to have that discussion with and seek guidance and advice from than one of their peers who's a year ahead of them in the program, right? Who's probably most likely encountered that scenario and maybe has a few tips or tricks, something for them to talk about. So we really look at that support structure from multiple lenses.
Yeah, and again, it's clearly evident, right, that the impact from how you all have intentionally built those support structures is clear, right? We see it here today. Again, none of these folks were paid to say these things, so yeah, thank you for that, Kelly. Kristen, let's go to you. So I'm really curious about, talking about support structures, right? So we've talked a lot about the structural supports that have been built and really how you all are supporting apprentices, but would you mind speaking for a few minutes about how you all are supporting supervisors directly through training?
Of course. So as Kelly mentioned, the role of the supervisor is essential to the success of our apprentices. And because of that, in my role, I want to make sure that we are enabling the supervisors to do their job, and we're there for support whenever is needed. When we first onboard a new cohort of apprentices and there are new supervisors, we start off with an orientation training, and we leverage CareerWise, and Tony actually did this not too long ago, of leading a really great training, teaching the supervisors just what it means to work with a 15 or 16-year-old. It's obviously their first time. It's not a common thing to do. So I think that training is just really essential to the supervisor role. And then through my team, we continue with an Accenture-specific supervisor training, explaining more about the role and how they can best prepare for the apprentice to join their team. But in my opinion, I think the most impactful part of our supervisor training program is our real-time training and learning opportunities for supervisors. So we run a bi-weekly meeting with our supervisors, and this is where the supervisors come and share best practices and lessons learned, and we learn from each other. A really good example of what happens in those calls is we have Teresa, who I consider the gold standard of supervisors, come in and she'll really help coach some of our other supervisors with the expertise that she has after doing this for so many years. And then on top of that, my team is always there for the supervisors on that one-on-one basis. We can coach them and help solve for maybe how do they want to break up a project for their apprentice to work on, or any other ideas that they have. So I think all of this creates a comprehensive training solution for our supervisors that really help enable them in their role. And when our supervisors thrive, so do our apprentices. And I think that's really important for the overall experience.
And we're certainly glad that you provide those levels of support. Again, there's such a clear intentionality here, right? And I think that's an important theme to highlight. For anybody out there who might be thinking about doing this, you have to be intentional about setting up those structures. Thank you for that, Kristen. Teresa.
Yes.
Hey, I love the fact that they call you Mama T, by the way. That's so awesome. But specific question for you, really speaking to something that Kelly mentioned earlier about power skills, right? In your own practice, can you talk about the power skills that you helped develop and what that looks like?
Okay, with the apprentices that I had, I was observing them when they first started, picking up on a couple of things. I have one young lady who's excellent at writing. She's excellent at adapting to things, but she was a little hesitant on speaking up and talking to people. If you met her right now, you would think that she was up here speaking forever. So I encouraged her to do something and pushed her a little bit we have office tours. She actually took the board of directors on a tour of the building, and she had to explain the technologies, she had to explain the locations, and if you ever have the opportunity to come to Accenture, you understand it's detailed. On top of that, she took the whole program that they had in place and she rearranged it and made her own booklet and made it user-friendly for the rest of the apprentices that are coming behind her to use those skills. Now, she also has this unique way of being very, very, how do I say it? She partners with the others that are with her. So it's 3 of them. So she's like the middle person who keeps them leveled. She keeps them on time. She understands that she has to have, an agenda. She understands prioritizing very well. And she keeps them focused on prioritizing. So the skills that she has, I use those to enhance the others. So like they were saying, I have a young man who had a problem with his writing, and I could see that from day one. So I reached out to one of my coworkers and matched them up. So I also have the situation of teaching them the skills for the PowerPoint, the Excel. But what I do is I see where they are. I meet them where they're at, and then I add additional help for them. And I'll be honest with you, these kids are smart. Don't underestimate them. They're very bright. So once you learn them and you understand and you observe where their shortcomings are and where their highs are, you know where to, fill it in. And then I don't micromanage, like I said, but what I do is allow them the opportunity to go out, do what they have to do, bring it back to me. I'll critique it, not criticize, critique it, and we work together and we come up with a better way. Like I said, some things don't have to be reinvented. You just have to tweak them. And if you've been in business a long time, the time it takes you to reinvent something, that's hours and hours, and you come back to the same answer. But if you allow them to use their skills, their natural-born skills, their ideas, and they have great ideas, and you let them present it, and they tweak things and bring it back, and I leave them with it. I have my department, we use this non-for-profit for organizations. We do the prom setup. They're in charge of it. We have socks for the homeless. They set it up. They handle the spreadsheets, they handle the tracking, they handle the distribution, they handle everything. I put them in charge of it. So every year we do these same particular things. So if Gesner had it the first year, he's already familiar with it. So a new person coming on under him, he's actually training them. And they feel comfortable working with their peers. And they know that their peer is going to check with me, they check with me, and he's not going to lead them wrong, because if he's in charge of it, because he's done it before, it's very easy for another young person just starting the program to say, oh, we can actually express ourselves. And that's what you want them to do. That's the only way you're going to understand who they are and where they're coming from and find out where their skill set is. So, like I said, we had one young man who had struggling with his writing, but if you see him now, it's great. And Evelyn herself, who was struggling with communications with talking to people, she can out-talk this room, and she makes me so proud when I see her walk through the hallways and take our clients, not just internal, but external big clients on these tours and do the demonstrations. So you have to give them an opportunity to show their skill set, and then you work from there. So you have to meet them where they are and then help them grow from there.
Thank you for that, Teresa. First things first, so I'm formally requesting an office tour with Evelyn.
You got it.
We have to make it happen.
Yes, we will.
Second, I just love the fact that, you not only are giving the apprentices meaningful work, right, but you're allowing them the space to learn, right, and learn at their pace. And then when you identify, areas in which they can grow, you're providing that additional support to them. I think that's super important for this experience. So thank you for mentioning that. Kristen, back to you. So Kelly talked a lot about the creative classrooms, which might undergo a rebranding.
I think a rebrand, yeah.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Gesner, you're on. So I want to talk about that a little bit more, and really, can you spell out for us, more details around what that training looks like?
Of course. So at Accenture, we invest in all our people so that we set them up for success in their career. And that includes our youth apprentices. We have such comprehensive curriculum and training programs available for our youth apprentices. When they first join Accenture, they spend their first 4 months in our creative classroom. That's where we focus on the power skills we've been talking about and the technical skills. I think a really great element that we have during that time is that we pull in some of our current apprentices, like Gesner, for example, and his peers, and they lead some of these trainings. And my team also helps with facilitating the training. We bring in experts when needed, and it's just this opportunity to help these new apprentices who are in the workforce for the first time in this really intimidating and beautiful office, and they really are prepared so that day one when they start in their role with their supervisor, they're set up for success. And then throughout the 3-year program, we have continuous learning opportunities. We hold every other week a creative classroom for the apprentices to continue to learn. And I really feel, in my opinion, one of the best parts of that is that we have these milestone projects for the apprentices to do. They are what we call our Teach Back and Capstone projects. So these projects are where our apprentices are sharing what they've learned, and it's a really challenging project, actually. We put them to work. So they are researching the topic, they are interviewing people that they find through networking, so not even people they know already, and they are putting together a powerful presentation, and then we have them present it in front of a large audience. This is really special because this is that opportunity to see everything they've learned come together in one place. And over the years, you see the apprentice grow. And by the capstone project, you look back and you say, wow, this is a completely different person than when they started. And so I think that's why it's just such a special part of our training.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kristen. And I really appreciate throughout our conversation, there's been this undertone around training the apprentice effectively, allowing them to do the work, and then empowering them to teach others, right? And that, certainly that shines through the creative classroom space. So again, really appreciate that you allow the opportunity for more seasoned apprentices to partake in that teaching. So I know we've painted a really good picture around how things work, and of course they're working really well. But you don't build anything like this without challenges, right, that you have to mitigate and overcome. So Kelly, Kristen, Teresa, from each of your perspectives, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered standing this up?
Absolutely. It was interesting, Tony, right before we came on stage, we were chatting with Ryan, and he used the word pioneer, right? You guys are pioneers in this space. And I think, leveraging that concept of pioneers, what do you have in front of you? You have new terrain to navigate. So I think it's fully expected and anticipated that, of course, you're going to encounter challenges. I personally like to think of challenges as an opportunity, like an opportunity that's right in front of you to think differently, to come up with a creative solution. And I think that's what we've done along this process with a lot of learning. So, at a high level, there has been a lot of new elements to learn. So, the intricacies of the employment of minors, right? The reason they work 16 hours a week, 1 to 5, Monday through Thursday, is so that we are in compliance with the local labor laws. Okay, that was new. I didn't know about that before we started. So again, employment of minors, and I think for many of our supervisors and our core team members, we had such valuable learnings about the brain development of adolescents and really starting to understand more the concepts that they're teaching in the classroom that we then wanted to bring into the way that we learned here at Accenture and the way that we taught the apprentices around embracing a growth mindset. I am not an educator, so all of this was new for me. And when we started out in this program, my kids were young, so I still wasn't getting exposure to it. So there was a lot of newness. And again, throughout this whole experience, I think what we've walked away with is a number of key learnings. And there's 3 in particular that I would focus on. So building executive sponsorship, being agile, and designing for the experience. So start at the top with building executive sponsorship. Launching the Youth Apprenticeship Program, right? It's very new, it's very different. We were fortunate enough to start from a position of strength in that we had the full support of our chair and CEO, Julie Sweet, our Chief Leadership and Human Resources Officer, Ellen Shook, and that was tremendous. I can't tell you, I think back to the conversations that I had early on when we were just starting to explore with different leaders across Accenture in different departments or functional areas, where might be an exciting space where we could create a meaningful role with meaningful learning opportunities for apprentices. And in some of the initial conversations, as I'm giving my pitch, I'd get to the point where I would say, and this is about bringing in, 15, 16-year-olds, youth apprentices, and I'd keep going, and it was almost like the car stopped. It was like, Kelly, can you back up? And I'm like, oh, to what part?
Loud gasp in the room.
Yeah. They were like, the 15, 16-year-old part. We hire, and I'm like, okay, here we go. We're going to back it up. And so we'd pick back up the conversation, and a lot of the questions would be, what am I going to do with a 15 or 16-year-old, and what kind of work are they going to do? And so the conversation would then shift to, we need to think about the work differently. Don't think about the work as, this massive project. Start thinking about the work differently. Chunk it up into smaller pieces and think about those fundamental skills that can be taught over the course of time, right? A work plan. Just getting exposure to having, one of the apprentices build out a work plan for maybe a specific piece of work or an event that you own. There's so many skills that can come through that. That's one piece. And so a lot of times then it would click, right? You could kind of see the wheels turning, the car was moving again, we put it in drive, we started moving forward. And then when I would share, well, we have an apprentice working in Julie Sweet's office, it was like the ears perked up. Oh, really? I said, oh, yeah, let me give you some examples of what, one of our youth apprentices is doing in Julie's office. And so again, having that executive sponsorship at the top really just helped pave a much smoother pathway for something brand new and innovative. When I think about agility and the need to be agile, I still joke with the team that almost on a daily basis, be ready for a curveball. So even 5 years in, we are still encountering, a new question, a new scenario that comes up. Do we always have the answers? No, not right away. But I think what we found through the years is the way we get to an answer, the way we get to a solution is by collaborating across our team. So again, the core team might not have the answers, but we'll pull in the relevant, subject matter experts to help us get to whatever the right answer is. And I would also say that theme of agility applies to the program itself. Again, it's new, it's different, it's innovative. There's a lot of experimentation, and you're not going to get it right every single time. And I think knowing that and going in with a bit of that growth mindset and proactively looking for opportunities to continue to evolve your program, to learn from the experiences, to then enhance the experience has really helped us. And I have to tell you, we are very, again, intentional about seeking inputs from a wide range of stakeholders, but some of the best ideas for what we want to take a look at in terms of doing something differently come from the apprentices. When we ask them, how do you think that well? We think it went fantastic. And then when you ask them, maybe sometimes we're sharing the same, brain wavelength, but other times it's like, well, that piece didn't land so well, or have you ever thought about X, Y, Z? I know, Gesner, you and I had a conversation, just a week and a half ago, where I was picking his brain for some things we might want to do differently with the recruitment strategy. And he had ideas I had never thought of. So the apprentices themselves are a great source of creativity for, again, kind of continuing to evolve your program. And then that last point around designing for the experience, it's about taking a holistic look at that end-to-end experience. It's not about designing a program around an occupation or a job, right? It's about looking at what are the full needs, what do you need to do from a support structure perspective, what's that going to look like relative to your organization to set the apprentices up for success? What is the unique, that's the key word here, the unique learning and training that needs to be built in? Oftentimes I think you'll find you have a great starting point, but you need to tweak. You need to tweak, Teresa, to your point earlier. Sometimes we won't just take off the shelf a training that we have, but we would say, okay, what kind of changes do we need to make in order for this to resonate with a youth audience? It's about thinking holistically in terms of the networking opportunities, those professional skill building. So when you really think more broadly about the experience, and again, step away from just what's the occupation or the specific competency, I think what you ultimately deliver is an incredible experience for the apprentices.
That's awesome. And then Kristen, Teresa, any additional thoughts or perspectives?
So something I can share from my role perspective is the challenge around staffing. Even though we have over 60 apprentices, I really focus on taking an individualized approach to staffing our apprentices to their roles. I am really focused on making sure we find them engaging opportunities, the best opportunity to learn, and the best opportunity for them to contribute meaningful work to a team. At the same time, I want their role to align to their career aspirations and their interests. So this requires getting to know what they're passionate about and then going out and finding the best fit for them. It sometimes takes some time, and it does take capacity to do this, but I do feel this approach really creates the best experience for our apprentices. A good example of this is one of our current year 2 apprentices, Marcos. He is interested in art and design. He's currently a technology apprentice, but he was interested in seeing what marketing is all about. So we were able to set up a 2-month rotation for him on our brand team within marketing. And this has been a really great experience for him. He was exposed to a lot of different areas of marketing and experts on this team. And because of this, he is now applying to colleges with a focus in marketing. So I think this approach really helped for him, and I'm excited to see what's next for him.
That's awesome. Thank you for that, Teresa.
I find the word challenging sometimes has a negative overtone to it. So I'd rather say change. I have the thing about words. I do, he'll tell you. But like Kristen just said, you have a young person who comes in and you gear him up and you align him with technology. And that's not where his spirit is. He's doing it, but he's not engaged in it. So that becomes a challenge for him. But technically, it's a change that he needs. So what we have to do is acknowledge and listen to what he's saying when they're speaking about what obstacles they're running into. And then you find out what their passions are. And then, like Kristen says, you can align them up with marketing or into another area. Or they might want to do the production studio. We have a young man, Ryan, who's been with us for a while, and he's a shining star and an example from this program. He was in a career section of, I believe it might have been tech or something along that line, but his heart is in marketing. And he did the homework, and he brought it to them, and they were able to get him into that program. So it wasn't so much that it was a challenge, he needed a change. So like I always say, certain words have a little negative overtone to it, but you can change it into positive. So instead of keeping him in that set path that he was not going to inspire and he wasn't going to thrive in, he was able to get into that marketing program, and he became like a spokesperson for this department. He's walked with Julie Sweet, he's walked with Ellen Shook, he's presented before the governor, the Board of Education. I mean, this young man is just a shining light from this department, and it's all because of the core team and the members and the supporters and the people in charge who have been there and given him those opportunities. So he's just one example of some of the youth we have. Gesner and this young man sitting here, they're the shining stars. I mean, give Gesner a mic. He's going for it. And he knows what he's doing, and he's going to speak the truth. And one thing, we're very honest with them about what they can and cannot do and what we can and cannot provide at the time. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It's just like you said, we have to work another way around it and tweak some things to make it work for them.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Gesner has a mic, and he's been itching to use it, so we're about to let him use it. But real quick question for you, Kelly. When you think about success, right, and the profile of a successful apprentice, who comes to mind?
Well, I cannot use the word favorites. Just like with my children, I cannot use that. But we have two, Teresa, to use your words, shining stars with us today, right? Gesner, who I had... Gesner, who I had the pleasure of meeting and impressed me from the very first time. I don't know that I've ever told you this, but we happened to be coming out at an event, and he saw me, he came over, he introduced himself, and then he asked me, you know, what's your name and what is your role at Accenture? What do you do at Accenture? It's like, wow, okay, here we go. Elevator pitch, let me explain what I do. But I was just so impressed because I often think back, you know, Ronnie, to the earliest days back, you know, in early September 2019 when that first cohort walked in, and now I try to make it a point to go in on every first day of the cohort because they go from this point of, being nervous about introducing themselves, just saying name, high school you attend, maybe borough you represent, one thing about yourself, nervous and hesitant about doing that in front of a room of their peers, to then walking up. He sees a networking opportunity, just walking up, introducing himself, and that was more than a year ago, has always stuck with me. And I continue to kind of see, that ability to step out of the comfort zone, or you might just be operating in a new comfort zone, Gesner, with some of the projects that he has pitched. So he recently thought of an opportunity to amplify visibility to the Youth Apprenticeship Program locally in our New York office. He came to us with this idea, Project EP, Elevate and Persuade. I don't want to steal all your thunder, but it was this, grassroots, homegrown idea that he came, he pitched, the core team was supportive. We said, let's start out with a pilot, right? Very typical in the type of work that we do. We start with a pilot, we learn from it, we then continue to enhance and build from there. He assembled a small team, and again, I'm not going to give all the details away, assembled a small team, and then about 6 weeks ago, it was showtime. And we saw all of the planning, all of the hard work, his idea come to fruition, come to life in front of us, and ultimately, it gave so many of us an opportunity to learn so much more deeply about each of our apprentices, their personal interests, their passions. I learned things about the apprentices in this hour-long session that I may never have. Passions for aviation, passion for photography, passions around physics. I was like, wow, oh my goodness. Different majors that they wanted to study, careers they wanted to pursue. It was just such a wonderful opportunity. And again, this was Gesner's brainchild. So when I think about, what's an example of a youth apprentice thriving, it's Gesner. Similarly, Ronnie, who's sitting next to Gesner. Think back, our inaugural cohort, again, had the opportunity to watch Ronnie grow and learn. So back to that, first week where everyone's nervous about introducing themselves. Fast forward, he is excelling in terms of his role with our TXA, which is essentially our local technology support. So I get the blue screen of death. I go see Ronnie. Ronnie, please fix it. Please make it come back. Excelling at his technical skills, excelling at his power skills, to the point that then he was presented with a very unique opportunity to sit across the table from two members of the White House cabinet who were interested in hearing his experience as a youth apprentice. And I just think examples like this are the best way to describe the growth that you can be part of, that you can help impact, that happens before your very eyes. And, we want to continue to cultivate and retain this talent because we have incredible talent.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree. So Gesner, Ronnie, it's your turn, right? We're going to spend the rest of this time to speak with the both of you. Starting with Gesner, so, obviously, right? It sounds like you've had a good experience, right? Okay, good. I understand that part of this experience has shaped the way you think about education and college and has, really influenced some of your decisions around your major and such. Can you talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the beautiful question. So to give you guys more insight about my career path and my career journey, when I first joined the program, I honestly was more focused on majoring in computer science and possibly finding a career in web development. Hence why when I applied for CareerWise New York, I applied for all of the technology roles. And honestly, after stepping foot into Accenture and trying the different things that they have to offer, like for example, the video here and the different marketing and networking events I was allowed to set up and organize, and I kind of came to the conclusion that I want to do things related to marketing, public speaking, and a little bit of broadcasting. I truly feel like I did definitely gain a lot of skills and experience related to technology, related to application development that will definitely take me further in my career journey. But what I'm truly am passionate about and truly am motivated about is around broadcasting. To give you a specific moment in time, the video that we played for you guys earlier, we titled that overall project, Project IME. And IME stood for Inspire, Motivate, and Entertain. And the reason to why that video was created was because we wanted to shed more light on the Youth Apprenticeship Program to really not only reach out to more high school students, but also reach out to people like you, the audience here today, to really inform you guys and give you guys a good insight on what we do here at Accenture, because it's very impactful on the youth. I can say that. It was impactful on me. So I just really wanted to say that when I first walked in versus to where I'm at now, my career journey and what I want to major in life and focus on in life has completely pivoted.
I love that. So Gesner in media. I can see it. Can you guys see it? It makes sense. Ronnie, focusing our attention on you. So you've seen this from soup to nuts. You've been through the full cycle as an apprentice. Can you tell us what that was like?
So there's a couple words to describe the apprenticeship, and one of them was challenging. I know Teresa doesn't like challenging, but it was definitely challenging starting within my last year, since it was very recently new, and it's the first time that we stepped into the third year. We didn't really know what to expect. So I didn't know how to manage college and work at the same time, and it was really difficult to me during those moments. But I just thought back of everything I learned in the past 2 years, and it was like clockwork. Within a week, I knew what to do. I knew what to manage. And I spoke with my supervisors. They were really supportive. And I really was able to accomplish a lot of things. There's 3 things in particular, actually. So like Kelly said, I managed to talk to the president's cabinet. It was the Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Commerce. It was a very nerve-wracking meeting, but it was actually really nice to meet these people, because although they have really fancy titles, they're just regular people, and they just wanted to know all about me. One of my other accomplishments were I actually was able to work with one of my colleagues, Deshaun, who's not here today. We were able to create a support system that you could take a picture of a QR code and you could submit a request. And it was actually very simple and very innovative, but the craziest part that TXA didn't have it. So we actually, I believe they were rolling, from there, they were rolling in the program out all across all the offices, and I was really happy to collaborate with that. So it's a very high level thing. I started as cleaning up computers, checking if they work, to developing a high level system and rolling it out across the United States. But the most impactful accomplishment I have is during the pandemic. It was really hard for us, for me and my family, and I was not planning to go to college at first, but my father wasn't able to pay for it, but I realized that I got him, right? I was able to pay for my own tuition, and ever since 2021, he has not paid a single dime.
That's a mic drop.
So I can say that he's very proud of me, and I'm also very proud of myself. So I'm really thankful for Accenture for giving the opportunity to actually go to college. So.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm not going to let you gloss over the fact that you and Toshawn built an entire platform that was rolled out nationally. That is phenomenal work. But I think that illustrates that this is real, right? This is real work that you all are doing. Ronnie, last question for you, and then we have one for Gesner. What advice do you have for students who might be thinking about, taking advantage of an apprenticeship?
So I actually remember my sophomore year very vividly. And I remember that first day where CareerWise came into our school. It was a little chaotic, to be honest, since they showed up out of nowhere. Nobody knew what was going on. But from the get-go, CareerWise knew what they were doing. They just presented, and it's like, hey, this is what we're doing, and we would like for you to join us. And they put a Post-it note, a giant Post-it note on the wall, and said, write your names if you're interested. I got into the line, and I was very scared of what am I getting into? I don't know what I'm doing. And I was practically pressured into writing my name because my classmate right behind me said, dude, hurry up. We gotta go to class. So I just wrote my name, and one important thing I'd like to tell that sophomore that is thinking about it is take a leap of faith. You don't know what's next, so you don't know if it's good for you. And if it's bad for you, then you just go to the next thing. So taking that leap of faith is very important, and it's something that everybody should do.
So in other words, just like Nike, just do it?
Yeah, just do it.
Okay, that's good advice. Thank you for that, Ronnie. So Gesner, back to you, and I'm going to steal Teresa's language here. Can you talk about the changes that you went through as an apprentice over the last, 2 years or so?
Absolutely. So when I first joined the Youth Apprenticeship Program, I must say I was extremely nervous. I remember to this day, the first day I was coming into the office, I actually kind of got lost because while walking out of Penn Station...
That's easy to do at Accenture.
I agree. But while I was outside walking to the building, I was just looking at the different buildings. I was like, which one is Accenture? And then I remember I reached out to a core team member, and they basically were just saying, it just says core team right there at the top if you look at through the glass window. And I looked up, I was like, oh, it's Accenture's right there. I looked, I'm like, this building right here? This building? And I was like, okay, this is where I'm walking into. And then after that, I walked through the scanner in which I put my something similar to this, and then the elevator just came. I didn't even press one of the buttons; it just opened up. I'm like, oh, this is so fancy. And then everybody was just there. They walked me to where I needed to go, and I was just in. I guess that was my first creative classroom, as we mentioned earlier before, and I just remember sitting in that room. I was so nervous and I was so terrified because, to be perfectly honest, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like I wasn't going to be good enough, or I wasn't going to be able to meet Accenture's expectations, because this looked like such a very high-end and very professional, it's corporate America, very professional area. And I feel like specifically coming from my background, I feel like I wasn't going to have the qualifications or the I just wasn't going to be able to meet the expectations. And then after everything rolled off and I saw so much support and then the help that Accenture had to offer, I was able to realize very quickly that I was good enough to be here and that I can easily excel here. I just have to really apply myself. So going back to the question that you asked earlier, that you asked him, in terms of what advice would I give somebody, I remember there was also a film for CareerWise that you guys had me be in, and they asked me that same question, and I emphasized this 3 times: apply, 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 because I really feel like even though people might be nervous and people really might be terrified to join programs like this, it has such a big impact on you, specifically, for high school students, that they might not even realize. That I feel like I specifically chose to emphasize apply, because once you join something like this, or once you really step outside your comfort zone, you'll thank yourself later on for taking on such a big role. To also provide another example of this, or just another statement that stuck out to me later on throughout my apprenticeship program, I'd say specifically around my year 2, when I was a second-year apprentice, I believe there was a networking event where we were able to meet the CEO of Accenture, Julie Sweet, and within this meeting, she gave all of us some advice, and I must say, to this day, that was one of the best quotes I've ever heard in my life. It was, if your dreams don't scare you, they aren't big enough. And I really sat there and I thought about that, and I was just like, I need to go harder. I felt like, while being in my first and second year, I was definitely slowly starting to open myself up and network a little bit more, and definitely do more things, specifically with my client, to be exact. And after that meeting, I really sat to myself and thought, how can I go even harder? How can I really expand my network and really expand my future to really be somewhere that I would never expect to be? So I said all of that to really just say, apply.
If your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big. Dream bigger. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that, Gesner and Ronnie. Teresa, our last formal question will go to you, and I think it's a good one, and it's within this advice paradigm. So what advice would you offer for anybody thinking about being a youth apprentice supervisor?
Do it. Seriously.
That's
just
it,
do
mic drop.
You know, like he said, apply, just do it. Step out there. You have the core support team that's going to help you. And you learn so much. You know, I tell my youth all the time, everything is a teaching moment. You can't fail, because you're going to learn something from that moment. You're going to learn something from this program. And if you become a supervisor, it's better than a paycheck, trust me. Because you get to see children that are not your children grow. And if you don't have children and you've always wanted to have children, you watch them grow. You watch them come back after years, and they come looking for you, saying, this is what I'm doing now. And then you know you played a part in that. You gave them that opportunity. When I was growing up, I didn't have these opportunities. And a lot of us in here would never have thought about having these opportunities for the youth of today. So you have to expose yourself. You have to become vulnerable, because they're vulnerable. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I say, just do it. Like the Nike commercial, whatever one that is. I don't do sneakers, y'all. But seriously, take a chance. You know, it's so much joy that comes out of seeing a young person who comes in looking like they're lost, and then watching them before the first year is even over, just exceed to all kinds of expectations. And then you can say, I had something to do with that. You know, I have kids of my own, and I push them to do things. They push me. They think they're my boss now. But the thing is, you have to put yourself out there, and the reward is so fantastic. I sit there and I work with Gesner while he picks my brain sometimes, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't have a fear of walking up to me and saying, Teresa, can I ask you a question? I'm doing this. And what do you think? And then I'll give him some advice. And then I tell him how to go about it. Because they don't know all the time the exact way to hit somebody up for something or to find out something. And I say, listen, do this, revamp it, write it over, talk it out, get your team together, take your time, let me see it again, and then go for it. Go for it. So it's the same thing with the supervisors. I have the core team that I work under. I'm under their leadership. I pull from them. They help me. They're there to support me. So you're not on your own. You know, so you have the core team. You have the leadership. They're supporting us. And trust me, they don't want you to fail. Because if I fail, they fail. The program fails. And we're not failing. As you can see, we are truly not failing, because we have some of the best, and I'm going to say it, we have some of the best apprentices at Accenture, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
And we're not failing.
No, we're not failing. We don't fail. That's not in our vocabulary.
I appreciate that, Teresa. All right, we are just about at time. I want to do some parting shots, though. So 30 seconds or less, each of you, parting shots. We'll start with Ronnie.
Well, thank you for having me here, guys, and I'm really appreciative of being here. I just missed a couple classes, but it was well worth it. Yeah, I actually talked to my communications professor, and he was like, "Yeah, go do it." So hopefully I could get some extra credits from that. So
it counts.
Also, like Ronnie, I also did mention, I'm not missing classes, but I did mention to my professor what I do here at Accenture in the program that I'm overall in, and all my professors are so ecstatic about it, and they're so proud to see youth walking into their schools already just having such a high-end resume. And off that alone, they show me so much support. And I just want to say one more time, thank you all for coming here today, and thank you all, for really allowing me to introduce myself to you guys and just share more insight of the overall program and how such an amazing impact it has on the youth of today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here today. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, what I was going to do, but this program is worth it. I'm honored to be a part of it. I'm honored to be a part with the team that I have here. There's more people involved. The company itself, it backs it 100% plus. And thank you for having me here today. I hope you learned something. I hope I was able to give you a little insight onto the youth and what they do every day.
I really feel like it is just such a privilege to be involved with this program. I never thought that this is something I would be doing, and now I'm just grateful every single day for the opportunity to interact with these really ambitious and talented youth apprentices. It is just truly a privilege.
Thank you again, Tony, and thank you, CareerWise, again, for inviting our team up. You know, I really do think we have some of the best jobs at our company. I mean, we get this front row seat to see what happens when we tap into the power of potential. We see the impact that these new career pathways that we are creating have on individuals like Ronnie, like Gesner. We get to learn their stories, be part of their stories, which is just incredible. And the art of the possible, seeing that come to life, you know, each and every day with different exposures, different experiences. You can't map it out beforehand, but when that happens and you see our youth apprentices just be exposed to so much and really be able to lean into new ideas, new opportunities that, you know, in some cases they never knew even existed, there's something very inspirational and powerful behind that. So it is, Kristen, as you said, it's a privilege to be part of this program.
Well, Kelly, Kristen, Teresa, Gesner, and Ronnie, thank all of you for sharing your stories, insights, and perspectives. I think I could speak for all of us in saying we truly enjoyed it, and look forward to hear what's next. So, in a nutshell, this is real. Just do it. Dream harder. And thank you all for being here.